Hockey starts early for me tomorrow. So, well, if you're on the East Coast or if you're in Europe, you're like, it's not that early. For me, it is. It's 9 a.m. when it starts, and we start off with happiness. So, I'll get to that, though. I'm going to discuss an update on that. So, we've got 4 games tomorrow. The nice thing is, hockey should be over early tomorrow. I'm trying not to jinx it, but it should be. Not as early as it was over for the Oilers, a year they were expected to be good, but there's a reason I'm wearing the Oilers jersey. I don't want to be accused of jinxing somebody that's playing tomorrow either, so there you go. We're going to start off with Colorado and Arizona. And of course, the Avs are up 2-0 because of the game today. And tomorrow they're looking to really set up a sweep, potentially. So it starts at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is noon Pacific. And this is the game that we will carry. The live stream will be at, I believe it's 1 o'clock my time, 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. And it'll be interesting to see what the starting lineups are. Nemesnikov is considered day-to-day, according to Jared Bednar. So does this mean Donskoy comes back in? Or do they have to dig deeper and find somebody else to go into the lineup? And then, of course, the big question for the Arizona Coyotes I have is, what about Nick Schmaltz? Now, I don't think Schmaltz would change the results of this series. I don't think with Schmaltz in the lineup, Arizona wins either game, but he is basically my favorite Coyote, and I think he's a good player, and I think he would at least help. So as the Coyotes try to win a game here and give themselves some semblance of hope, the good news is on back-to-back nights, it seems like whoever wins the first one usually loses the second one, and vice versa. So we'll see whether or not Arizona can help to continue a trend, or if Colorado can buck that trend. If Colorado goes up 3-0, it's basically done. I'm not saying that I'm not seriously favoring Colorado already, but that would pretty much do it. The other Western Hub game starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. On the Pacific side of things. Vegas is up 2-0. And I don't know that it matters whether or not Pacioretty plays. I really don't know that it matters because they are the better team. And Chicago played well enough, but I really think that's pretty much as good as it gets for the Colorado Avalanche, or for the Chicago Blackhawks against Vegas. I'm getting stuck on this game. A lot of hockey today. So I don't know that Chicago has another gear against Vegas. And I don't know that they have the depth to add up against Vegas either. We have watched as Vegas has just been pretty darn impressive. And nothing against Chicago. I think it's been a really good experience for the young players to get into this. Again, I'm a person that believes that if you have a chance to get into a playoff spot or get a draft pick, I think you should go for the playoff spot because you don't know what might happen in said playoffs. We look at the situation the Canucks are in right now. If they had fallen out and just not made it past Minnesota, look what we would have missed out on so far already. So I think it's important to make sure that those kids get that practice and that experience and all of that stuff. And so Chicago's getting all that experience. I think of what this is going to do for guys like Kirby Dach, and it's fantastic. We'll see how things go from here. The one player that I'm surprised hasn't been more prominent is DeBrincat. I really thought DeBrincat would be more prominent. After what was a poor season by his standards, I thought we would see more from him, and we really haven't yet. So we'll see whether or not that changes as this series rolls on, but so far not so much. Boston and Carolina, this one starts at noon Eastern. Rask is likely to start after saying that it feels like an exhibition game and it doesn't feel that intense to him. Pasternak's listed as a maybe. So Carolina's in a good position. If Rask is feeling distracted and is not really into it, and if Pasta's out again for Boston, good chance for Carolina. Now, we all know, last night I reviewed the game, and of course, there's a lot of discussion and argument. So we have our regular Discord for the channel, which is always in the description, but I have a Discord channel as well for patrons at a certain level. And so I pitched an idea to Yvonne today, and she said that sounds like a good idea. So the notes on tomorrow's game won't be from me. There will be notes on the game the same as on every other game, but they will be from patrons who are watching the game along with me. I'll keep track of score, I'll keep track of the stats, but the notes on what happens in the game and any kind of controversy that may come out of it, that won't involve me. So that'll be taking place tomorrow. It's part of the reason that I moved the live stream from covering this game to covering this game. And if that's a hit, then I may have accidentally stumbled on something that might be kind of fun to do moving forward. So the notes will come from others. That way, after the game, here's the review, here's the notes. There you go. But yeah, I've enjoyed this series as it is. I do hope that it goes as far as humanly possible. And it's funny because I saw questions about, wait, you were happy Reimer had a good game against Boston? Are you really a Bruins fan? Why were you happy? Because I'm a hockey fan. Like when you watch every single game and you watch all 31 teams, you're going to have players you like on every team. You're going to have, like, for instance, Montreal, a team that, I couldn't stand them before the channel came in. But I love Suzuki. I think Mete is better than he gets credit for. I really like Kotkaniemi. Carey Price is proving a lot of people wrong right now. There's a lot to like with Montreal. And again, if I didn't cover every team, if I didn't watch every game, that wouldn't be the case. So yes, with Carolina, there are players who I have been following all year, and it's nice to see them doing well. It's nice to see Reimer doing well. Do I want to see Boston win the series? Well, of course I do. But there are nice stories. I guess I've always been the fan that if a team I cheer for goes out, I can find sort of that diamond in the rough about it, and I can be okay with the team that beat them in some situations, not all. And I can wish them luck and think, well, that's fine. If they win the cup, that's fine too. And, good on them. So, Carolina is one of those teams I don't really have any kind of issue with. I really don't. After last year where Boston swept them, I'm glad to see that it feels more competitive and close this time. So, all right, moving along, the last game of the day that I'm covering anyway starts at 7:30 Eastern. This one starts a half an hour before this one. So these are on at virtually the same time. I'm going to do the best I can to cover this as well as I can. Tampa Bay and Columbus. And it's going to be hard because these two series have both been kind of equally entertaining for completely different reasons. Vegas and Chicago has been wild swings of momentum. And Tampa Bay and Columbus, it's been a lot of chess match kind of behavior. And goalies have been the storyline in this one. Columbus, of course, in a 1-1 series tie. If they win tomorrow, they might be getting in the heads of the Tampa Bay Lightning. If Tampa Bay wins tomorrow, then maybe that's a sign that they're ready to make that next step. They don't want their series to go too long. There's potentially going to be 4-game sweeps, and there could be teams that go to 7. And it's the amount of physical beatings you're going to take along the way. Now, Columbus has been quite the story because, of course, all the overtimes, all the games, all this time playing hockey all squashed into a small amount of time. This is why when people talk about, well, whoever wins the cup this year gets an asterisk. Not if it's Columbus, they don't. If anything, the asterisk is going to be these guys won a tournament that was way more difficult. Just when you consider being away from your families, when you consider that the games are back-to-backs and they're all squashed together and they're trying to get the schedule done as quickly as possible. Whoever wins this, it is a war. And it's going to be really interesting to see if Columbus gets past Tampa, how far do they go? Is John Tortorella capable of getting them further than that? I don't like betting against Torts because very often you end up being on the wrong side of the bet. I realized this time in Vancouver wasn't very long and it wasn't very successful, but at the same time, he was just the wrong coach for the Canucks at that point. It was a bad mix. It wasn't as much that he couldn't coach. It was just a bad mix there. All right, news of the day. Vigneault apparently upset that the Habs ran up the score, that Kirk Muller had the first power play unit on the ice. I'm going to defend Muller on this just a little bit. You've got some young players from Montreal that are learning how to win, and I don't think 5-0 is really running up the score that much. I think that a 4-goal lead in the third period, it's possible to blow a 4-goal lead in the third period. I don't mind that 5th goal. I think what Vigneault's doing is he's trying to distract from the fact that Philadelphia looked terrible today, that they did not look particularly ready to do much of anything for a playoff run. And so he's trying to distract before Sunday's Game 3. That's my guess anyways. I don't think he's too upset necessarily at that 5th goal. Kempny, no update yet, and don't expect updates. Related note, Vancouver, it looked like it was a shoulder injury potentially for Myers. No update on Myers. If Myers is out, Jordy Ben might come in. Jordy Ben, of course, was outside the bubble for the birth of his child. He's now cleared to play. And if they throw Ben into the lineup, well, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I kind of lean towards Ulevy ahead of Ben, but I know Jordy Ben can be good. And again, if you're a Canuck fan watching this, you're probably saying, how can he say Ben can be? He can be. I'm not saying he's been great this year. This year in Vancouver has not been great for Jordy Ben. I can't proclaim that it is, but he can be a very good 5th, 6th defenseman at times. So he may very well be the guy that goes in if Myers comes out. But probably Levy. Why not Rafferty? The part for me is why not throw in Brogan Rafferty unless he's really not ready or they don't perceive him to be an NHL level defenseman. And I'm ending with an Oilers note because again, we've talked a lot about Eichel and whether or not Eichel's happy in Buffalo, and for McDavid being out after a play-in round against Chicago, probably not sitting well with him. And he stated that the Oilers haven't learned to defend yet, which is true. Now, here's the thing. There are going to be people who say, well, he should know. His defensive skills are crap. Yeah, he likely knows that. He realizes he has to learn, to play the game a little better at both ends of the rink in order for the Oilers to have success. Draisaitl's in that category as well, but there is something to be said for their defense having been passive, and there's something to be said as well for their goaltending needing to come up with those really big saves at big moments that we did not see against Chicago. So Edmonton is kind of back to where they started. Though they had a pretty good regular season, they're back to being that team that has a lot of questions to answer. What doesn't make it better is, if you're Pittsburgh, you can at least look at what Montreal's doing against Philly and say, see, Montreal was pretty good. But if you're Edmonton, you look at Vegas and how they're up 2-0 against Chicago, you can't make that same statement. So, for Edmonton, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't have on the board that Toronto let go of a couple of its assistant coaches today. In general, we get a lot of assistant coach movement anyways during the offseason. It's usually something that happens with any team that's been disappointing during the season. Pittsburgh did, of course, yesterday. And Toronto got rid of a couple of them today. And we'll see what they do to fix the coaching staff. Again, Toronto's got other issues. I think there's issues with Edmonton. And we'll see how things go for them and what's going to be probably a long off-season. Much longer off-season for both Toronto and Edmonton than was planned till December at the earliest. So we'll see how that goes. That's for a whole other day. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And let me know your winners for tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.